Okay, so as Catherine said, tonight is Cut the Cord, cable TV alternatives. So the first thing is, what is cord cutting? Like, what do we mean when we say cord cutting? Then I'm going to go over, is it right for you? I'm going to cover required equipment and then some of the basic streaming options. A little background about myself. I am the Digital Services Librarian at the Danbury Library, and I have been since 2016. I haven't paid for cable TV in about 5 years, I would say. I was estimating. I didn't really put too much thought into precisely when I got rid of cable, but it's been a while. That's a picture of me and one of my 3 cats. I also have a dog. Okay, so let's get started. What is cord cutting? Cord cutting is just a fancy name for canceling your cable account with your provider and replacing it with streaming services. And I will say that when I say cable right now, I do mean cable TV specifically, not canceling your whole cable account entirely, because oftentimes you're paying for your internet service through your cable. And you still are going to need internet services in order to take advantage of many of these streaming services. So that's something to keep in mind. A streaming service is an online provider of entertainment, music, movies, etc., that delivers the content via an internet connection to the subscriber's computer, TV, or mobile device. Now, is it right for you? I will say that oftentimes people consider cord cutting in order to save money, right? But something that you have to keep in mind, and something I'm going to reiterate multiple times throughout this presentation, is that streaming services require a monthly fee. So it's really worth investigating what you like to watch, whether it can be replaced on a streaming platform, and whether it will actually be cheaper to do so. Because oftentimes one particular streaming service may not have the content that you want, so therefore you have to subscribe to more than one. And then if you're not careful, you may end up paying more per month without cable, than you were with just cable. So, and also keep in mind that you're still going to need to pay your monthly internet access fee through your provider. And that may not necessarily be as cheap as that you think it is. So, considerations going into the cable cutting decision. Number one, what do you pay for internet and cable access? And if it's currently bundled, which a lot of times it is, your cable provider will give you a cheaper per service rate if you're paying for cable, internet, and phone, for instance, than if you were paying individually for one of those services. So you really have to do sort of a little bit of a deep dive on what you're currently paying and what you would then pay if you were to, say, cancel the TV part of your bundle, okay? Secondly, what do you like to watch regularly? So this is a really important question to ask yourself, especially if you are someone who likes to watch a lot of live events, for instance, sports, or your local TV news, because oftentimes those sorts of events are not particularly easy to find on streaming services, or if they are, they can cost a significant amount in order to pay for those. And that feeds into, can you get the content that you want on available streaming services? So you kind of look at what you're watching and then see if it matches what you can get on streaming. And then what's the total cost of the services that you want to subscribe to? So you might want to start keeping track of the ones that you're interested in and keeping track of what their monthly cost is, and then see what that adds up to for you. So required equipment. The first and most important thing is high-speed internet. Then you'll need an email address, because all of these streaming services require that you create an account with them, and that account necessitates an email address and access to the email address. It's not enough that you have one. You need to be able to log into it, because oftentimes in creating your account, there's a step by which you have to verify your email address. So you have to be able to access your email account in order to get in and verify that it actually works. So make sure that you have an email address and that you have the password in order to access that email address. And then obviously you need access to streaming services and you need access to a streaming device. So I'm going to go into step by step what each of these mean. So is your internet fast enough? Based on the website that I linked here, this reviews.org website, this gives a general idea of how fast your internet should be in order to effectively stream any of these services. So you'll see Netflix requires 3 to 25 megabytes per second. HBO Max is upwards of 12 plus megabytes per second. And there's a really easy way for you to be able to test and see what your internet, how fast your internet access is. If you just go to the link that I have at the bottom here, speedtest.net, it's a simple push button and it'll tell you precisely where your internet falls within this range. And you can sort of gauge whether your internet is fast enough to be able to handle streaming services. If you find that you have a particularly low or slow internet connection, you might want to contact your provider and see what you need to do in order to make it faster. Sometimes it does require paying more for a faster internet speed. It really depends on who your provider is, whether you have cable internet or whether you have fiber optic internet. So there are a wide variety of streaming services, and I feel like there are more added every single day. I find out about a different provider that has come up with its own streaming service. So what I'm going to go over today is really just a small fraction of what's out there. And all of them usually have various tiers of access. So you pay more, you get more. Higher tiers provide more content and more flexibility, but they also cost more. So that's something to keep in mind. So the big juggernaut of streaming, of course, is Netflix. There are thousands of TV shows and movies, as well as original programming. There are no commercials whatsoever on Netflix. You can download content for offline viewing. So what that means is if you have the app downloaded to one of your devices, whether it's your phone or an iPad or an Android device, what you can do is you can download TV shows or movies so that you can then play them if you're going to be somewhere where you don't have internet access. So if you go on vacation to a cabin in the woods and there's no internet access up there, you can download shows ahead of time so that you can then play them back on your device without having to connect to the internet. This image right here is pulled directly from their website. And what this image does is it lays out the 3 different tiers of access that you can pay for with Netflix. The basic is $8.99 a month. You can watch on one screen at a time. So that means you can be logged in and watching on one device at a time. So if you are married or you have a family and you feel like more than one person may be accessing Netflix at the same time, this might not be good for you, but it's just something to consider. And then the number of phones or tablets you can have downloads on is only 1. Across the board, there's no limit to how many things you can watch, how often you can watch, how many hours a day you can watch. There's nothing like that for Netflix. And then HD and Ultra HD is not available in the basic package. So that's just if you have one of those ultra high def 4K smart TVs, then you might want to pay for a higher tier because just the definition of it is a little less on the basic. I don't know that it's necessarily noticeable. I, for the longest time, had the basic package and I didn't really see, it wasn't a terrible streaming experience, but then again, I didn't have a very super high def TV either. So, and then there's the standard and the premium. So as you move up, you increase the number of screens that you can use at a certain time, and you increase the number of devices that you can download content on. Okay, next big streaming service is Amazon Prime Video. Many of you may already have access to Amazon Prime Video because I do feel like having an Amazon Prime account is pretty common nowadays. So you may have this already and just perhaps may not even be aware of it. Let's see, there's a chat at the end of the presentation. Oh yeah, I'll put that back up at the end. There's so So yeah, so one thing to check, if you already have Amazon Prime, you already have access to Amazon Prime Video. If you don't have an Amazon Prime account, you can pay for Amazon Prime Video as a standalone streaming service for $8.99 a month, or you can buy the Amazon Prime annual subscription that gets you all of the Amazon Prime goodies, like the Amazon Prime free 2-day shipping and access to all of their other great Amazon Prime benefits. So that's something that you might want to check into. Amazon Prime has thousands of TV shows and movies. What's different from this and Netflix, one of the big differences is that there is a large group of content that is available as a part of your Amazon Prime subscription. But there's also content available that you can rent and or buy on an a la carte basis. So some of the content is included, some of the content is not. And you'll see that as you scroll through, it'll let you know whether it is a part of your Amazon Prime subscription or not. So even though you're paying already for access to Amazon Prime, for certain things, you're gonna pay even more. So it's upwards of $3, $4 to rent, and you have access to the title for a day, I think, from when you first start watching it. And then you can also buy movies or TV shows, and then you have access to those in perpetuity after you buy them. Then the other thing about Amazon Prime Video is that you can also bundle your Amazon Prime account with any number of channels. And what these channels are access to even more content, but for even more of a price. So for instance, you can pay an additional $14.99 a month and have access to HBO, or $8.99 a month and have access to Stars. And you can pick and choose which ones you want to have. And then you would just access that content through the Amazon Prime portal. So however you're accessing Amazon Prime, whether it's through your computer or through the app, you'll see that extra content is available to you if you're paying for it. So my fiance has HBO rolled into his Amazon Prime account. So when we want to watch the latest Game of Thrones, we pull up his Amazon account and we can see all of Game of Thrones. Amazon Prime can be used on up to 3 devices simultaneously. And just like Netflix, you can download content for offline viewing. But you do need either a Fire tablet or you need the Prime Video app for any of your devices. Hulu is yet another big giant streaming service that I'm sure many of you guys have already heard of. Thousands of TV shows and movies, as well as original programming. There are commercials in the basic package. So that's one thing to consider. It can be a little bit annoying, but you know, it's not that big of a deal, especially if you're only paying $5.99 a month. It's sort of like you get what you pay for, right? If you're only paying $5.99 a month, they got to get their money somewhere, so they're going to get it from commercials. But Hulu does also have upper tier options that eliminate the commercials. So if you want just basic, it's $5.99 a month or $59.99 a year, so you get a little bit of a discount. Or you can pay for Hulu with no ads at $11.99 a month. You can pay Hulu and Live TV that has commercials for $54.99 a month, or you can pay for Hulu with no ads plus Live TV for $60.99 a month. So you can see how with these streaming services, it's pretty easy to get back up to where you were paying for cable. Like $60.99 a month is pretty on par with a basic cable TV package. So you really have to like assess where you're getting your content and what you're getting and what's, worth your money. So live TV, yes. Live TV is things like NBC. So for instance, I have Hulu. I have a basic Hulu package. And what I did was I did the free trial for their live TV so that we could watch the Thanksgiving Day parade. And then I canceled it because I didn't want to pay $60 a month for live TV because it's just not worth it for my family. But yeah, that has things like sport, like this ad says Hulu has live sports. There's access to live sports and other live, like, you know, NBC, that kind of thing. Again, much like Amazon Prime, Hulu does offer options for add-on channels, so you can pay even more per month to have access. Here, I'll bring it up here. It has a little list here. You can add on Showtime, HBO Max, Cinemax Stars. So some of the similar things that like Prime has, you could also get through Hulu. Does PBS NewsHour air on time on streaming service? I'm not sure of that offhand. I really don't know for sure, but I'd have to do a little bit of do a little bit of research on that. On Hulu, can you watch the daily news TV? I think so. I'm sure that, like, because you have access to things like NBC, I believe that you would have access to things like daily news. I'm not sure about like local channels. I mean, like local news and that sort of thing. But if you know the things that you cannot miss, then it's worth making a list of those things. Like, as you ask me these things, like, like I really love the local news. As you do your research and look into these streaming services, it's worth you like digging in and seeing if those things are available to you. Like you're the only one who's going to know what it is that you want to have access to. So just make sure that as you are, you know, thinking about these things, that you mark them down so that you know to ask, or, you know, send an email to the provider or research on their website and see like, can I access local news on Hulu, that sort of thing. How do you check on NBC News or PBS NewsHour? So like, I know for a fact that Hulu has access to NBC and that sort of thing, has live TV. So I'm pretty sure that that would have access to NBC News. And now as far as offline viewing, you can only download content from Hulu if you have the no ads level of Hulu. Thank you, Christy. So in the chat, Christy shared that she has Roku TV and no cable, and the Roku channel has free news channels and movies and TV shows. They have commercials in between the shows. So I'm going to go into a little later like what a Roku TV is, but that's really good to know. Thank you for sharing. All right, so YouTube TV is yet another streaming platform. This one is one of the more expensive ones, but it is one of the more comprehensive ones. It's $64.99 a month. But this includes things like local ABC, CBS, Fox, and NBC streams, ESPN, regional sports networks, and more. And then there's also free cloud storage space, and you don't have to rent any equipment or anything. It's literally just accessible through YouTube. But there are commercials. Because it is live TV, you're going to get the commercials that would come with normal live TV viewing. But again, $64.99 a month is kind of on par with cable. But what you're getting through YouTube that you didn't get through cable is flexibility, portability, that sort of thing. So one of the relatively new streaming services is Apple TV Plus. This is almost exclusively, or I think exclusively, original content. So you can't get it anywhere else. No commercials, and it's only $4.99 a month. If you're buying a new device, something to keep in mind, if you're buying a new iOS device, like a new iPad or a new phone, you do get a free year of Apple TV Plus rolled into your purchase. So I bought a phone for my daughter or for my son and got a free year of Apple TV. So that's kind of nice because you kind of can check it out and decide whether you like the content and whether it's worth continuing after the year is up. You can only access the content through their app or through their website, tv.apple.com. and you can also download content for offline viewing. Just as a little personal thing, I do have the free subscription right now. I haven't been using it too much, but I did just binge watch Ted Lasso on Apple TV, and it was delightful. So if you have it, check it out. Okay, Sling TV is another option for if you really like, your live sports or your top, your TV news, that sort of thing. There are two different bundles. There's the Sling Blue and the Sling Orange. They each have their own sort of collection of channels. And you can, and each one of them is $30 a month, or you can get them both for $45 a month. But like Hulu and like Netflix, you can also pay an extra $5 to $10 a month and get access to additional services like Showtime or Stars or that sort of thing, any of the premium channels. And as always, I have to give ourselves a little push. There's always free content, free movies and TV shows available from the local library through us. With a Danbury Library card, you have access to Hoopla and Canopy, which are our two streaming services for movies and TV. Hoopla has thousands of movies and also books, movies, TV, and comic books. There's never any wait time. Any number of patrons can download or view the same book or TV show at the same time. There's no limits whatsoever. You get 5 downloads per month. You'll see as you create, when you create your account, you'll see in your account the number 5, and as you download something, it'll tick down until you reach 0, and then it refreshes on the 1st of the month. And then Canopy is thousands of movies from across the country and the world. It's a really incredibly robust collection of movies. If you're a cinema fan, if you love movies at all, I would really recommend that you check out Canopy. All kinds of indie films, foreign films, award-winning films from across the country and the world. You get 10 downloads per month. And then there's also Canopy Kids, which is a subsection of Canopy that's geared directly to kids. And those don't actually count towards your total, which is kind of nice. There's all kinds of great educational content for your kids on there. So just a little push for us. If you don't have a Danbury Library card, please send us an email or go to our website, danburylibrary.org, under join. There's a get a card link. You can fill out the form and we can get you a new card. If you already have a card, it needs to be renewed, just let us know and we can renew that for you over the phone or through email. Hoopla and Canopy both have an app, and the app is available for some smart TVs, so it's worth investigating if the app is available for your TV. If you don't have a smart TV, then there's, you can Chromecast, like that you can cast from your phone if you have like actually no, you still need a smart TV for that. So you need a smart TV in order to watch it on your TV, but you can always watch it on your computer or your other devices. All right, and then there's, like I said, this is only like a small collection of the main streaming services that are out there, but there are tons of them. There's HBO, there's Disney Plus, there's Fubo, there's Crackle. I mean, if you just Google streaming services, you'll see for yourself, it's just an enormous list. There's Peacock now, which I think is NBC's streaming service. So you really can sort of fall down the rabbit hole when it comes to streaming services. You really kind of have to figure out what you're looking for, what you want to make sure that you have access to, and that will help inform which of these services that you want access to. Before I move into the devices, are there any more questions about the services? And you guys have been throwing things in the chat. I think which one is the best? I can't answer which one is the best because it's completely subjective. It really depends on what you like, what you want access to, and how much you're willing to spend. So I cannot answer for you which one is the best. I personally subscribe to Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, and then like I said, I have the free Apple Plus subscription, which I don't know that I'm actually going to renew because I don't think I use it enough. But And then I have the library ones. We, as a family, probably watch Netflix the vast majority of the time, but really it depends on the individual. So I can't answer for you which one is the best. Can you connect your phone or tablet to the TV to watch Hoopla and Canopy? I believe that you can. It really depends on the technology that you have in your home. If you have the capability to screencast, which means like bring something up on your computer and have it show up on your TV, I believe that you can do that. Or like I said, you can download the Canopy app to your smart TV and you can load it that way. I can't say off the top of my head which library systems have access to Canopy, but it really is just, if you go to your library's website and you find the section of their website that's dedicated to downloadable content, it'll usually be listed there, usually alongside things like Overdrive or Hoopla, Overdrive, Canopy. Those are all sort of usually in the same section. So you'd be able to see there whether your particular library has access to Canopy. It should be noted that those sorts of things like Hoopla and Canopy, our Hoopla and Canopy collections are only available to Danbury Library card holders. So if any of you out there are from other towns and you have, say, a Brookfield Library card or a Newtown Library card, those won't work to access our collections. But if your hometown library has access, then you'd be able to log into their collections with your library card. Can you put Netflix up again? Sure. Let me just go back really quick. Here's the Netflix screen. Any other questions right now about streaming services? I can't figure out how to get CNN and CNBC. Yeah, I don't know. Again, I'm not sure off the top of my head where those are available on streaming. Just because it's like CNN is a pretty exclusively cable network. So it's kind of hard to find outside of that. Okay. The app to check internet speed is not an app, it's a website, and it is speedtest.net. Speedtest.net. And you just access that website on any computer that's connected to your home network. And you can get a good sense of how fast your internet is. Okay. And then I think, Catherine, I'm comfortable with this. If you guys are interested, then what we can do is we can send this whole presentation out to you as like a PDF after this is over so that you can sort of browse through it at your leisure. Barbara says Hulu with live TV has CNN. So there you go. Thank you, Barbara. Okay, streaming devices. So what does it mean when I say streaming devices? There are a number of ways that you can access streaming services. The first is a smart TV. Oops, sorry. So usually, like nowadays, if you're going to buy a big fancy TV, odds are good it's a smart TV. And what I mean by smart TV is that Wi-Fi access, internet access is built into the TV. So you either have to connect your smart TV via your Wi-Fi or plug it in with an Ethernet cable, and you get internet directly through your television. So that's basically what I mean by a smart TV. And then with that, you can download apps to your TV, much like you can download apps to your phone in order to access a variety of services. So you can download the Netflix app, or you can download the Hulu app, or whatever it is, in order to be able to access those individual services. You can also buy a Roku, and there are actually a wide variety. I think there are at least like 4 or 5 different kinds of Rokus, and they all have, a different level of storage capacity and speed. So, and they're all at, different price points. So if you just go on Amazon, you search up Roku, you can see that there are a bunch of different ones. And it's the same thing. Like if you don't have a smart TV, if you have a dumb TV that doesn't have Wi-Fi access, then what you would do is you would plug the Roku into your TV, and then that would sort of act as the conduit through which you would access the streaming services. So you would connect the Roku to your Wi-Fi, plug it into your TV, and then use the Roku in order to access all of your streaming services. And it's the similar capabilities with the Amazon Fire Stick. The thing with the Amazon Fire Sticks is you would need an Amazon account in order to get it set up. But again, it's the same principle in that you would plug it into your TV, connect it to the Wi-Fi, and access the content from there. How do you download an app to your TV? So a smart TV, much like your phone or any iOS device like an iPad or your Amazon Kindle or whatever, a smart TV has built into it access to a store, some sort of app store. So my TV is a Samsung, it has its own app store. So you would navigate to that app store and search for whatever app you're interested in and then download it from there. So it functions very much the same as any other handheld device that you might have. But it's really going to vary TV to TV or brand to brand of what exactly it's called or how exactly you would find it. But there is some sort of app store built in. Lori, I might be wrong, but I was under the impression that in order to use an Amazon Fire Stick, it has to be registered to an Amazon account. So I think you do have to have an Amazon account in order to use the Fire Stick. But I mean, if you find out that I'm wrong, then I do apologize. Again, Anita, what smart TV is easiest to use? I don't have the knowledge to be able to answer that. I only have the one that I have. I have a Samsung. It's pretty intuitive, but I don't really know. I can't answer that with any sort of certainty. Google Chromecast is another means by which you can access streaming content. If you have a dumb TV, you just sort of plug it in. It's just it's Google's version. Now, you can also use a gaming console. So for instance, I have an Xbox One downstairs plugged into a TV. And before using the smart TV I have now, we use the Xbox One plugged into the TV and use that because the Xbox also has an app store and you can download apps such as Netflix and Hulu and that sort of thing. So if you have, and I believe, PlayStations, the later PlayStations have the same sort of thing. So you can access your streaming content through a gaming console if that's what you have access to. Apple TV 4K is just another streaming device. And then, above everything, you can always just use your computer. Like if you want to say, I don't know, keep your TV as just cable and like watch all your streaming on your device, you can always do that too, because all of these are accessible just through their websites as well. So you can always just, keep your computer or your iPad and use that as the means by which you access all of your streaming services and, keep your TV out of it. It's really up to you. Or you can always somehow with a cable, you could connect your TV to your device. It's a little complicated, but it is possible. Something to keep in mind though, is to be sure that the content that you want is available on the device that you buy. So as I note here, Amazon Prime app is not available for the Apple TV 4K streaming device because they're competitors. So they're not going to allow that. So that's just something to keep in mind. So in conclusion, number one is do your research, right? Decide what it is that you want to watch and make sure that it actually makes sense for you to drop cable. So if you're a huge sports fan, it's hard to find sports on streaming services for a reasonable price. As I said, it's, Hulu Live, makes it a big selling point that they have live sports, but you're also paying $60-something a month, right? And then there's also, blackouts and there's all that like contractual stuff that can make live sports a little bit difficult. For instance, there's I think it's MLB TV, which is a streaming service to watch baseball. So if you're a huge Major League Baseball fan, like, sounds like a great deal, except they have massive blackouts for certain things depending on where you live. So it can be a little frustrating if you're not sure. So this is just something to keep in mind. So sometimes, so the next bullet point is that sometimes unbundling your cable from your internet means you have to pay more in internet. So at my old house, I just moved, but when I previously, when I unbundled everything, I ended up paying $100 plus per month just for internet. And currently we have just internet through our current provider, and I pay $70 a month just for internet. So it's really not that cheap to pay just for internet. And so it's worth investigating whether it's worth it for you to, if you currently have things bundled, if it's worth it for you to unbundle them. Keep track as you like move into streaming and as you sign up for services. It might be important, it might be smart to keep track of how often you use the service. So as I said, I have the free access to Apple TV right now, and I'm noticing that I'm not logging into it that much. So when the time comes and, I need to either renew and start paying the monthly fee or cancel it, I'm probably going to cancel it because it's just not worth paying. I mean, it's only $5 a month, but that adds up, right? So it's not really worth paying the extra fee in order to have a service that I don't have access to. So it may, once you've done all of the number crunching and the research, and you've decided at what kinds of streaming services you're interested in, it may turn out that you don't actually save money by cutting out cable. However, something to keep in mind, you enjoy far more control and portability by having streaming services versus cable. Because with cable, obviously, you are tied to what the cable network provides for you when they provide it for you, right? You don't have control over when you get to watch the news or where you get to watch the news. Whereas with all of these streaming services, you have it in the palm of your hand, literally 24 hours a day. You can watch whatever you want, whenever you want. So paying a little bit more for that level of control and portability may be worth it for you. Let's see. Okay, so if you, back to the Amazon Fire Stick, you do need an Amazon account, but you don't need Prime. That makes more sense, yes. Velvet says, I have Comcast on one TV and a Roku on the other. If I drop my cable, will I still be able to get local channels on my Roku without my Comcast subscription? Probably not. One thing that I realize I've neglected to include in here as an option is a plain old antenna. So you can buy an HD antenna and you can plug that into your TV. And through the antenna, you can get access to those like few local channels, like NBC, CBS, that sort of thing. The quality might not be very good, but if you were using it just to like tune into the local news at night, quality may not necessarily be that important of a deal to you. So that might be something to investigate. Patricia asked, you can't record on streaming services. I mean, it's not really necessary to record, but if you're asking about like live, like the live TV on Hulu, I'm not really sure that there's like a record option, but there might be like a playback option. Like once it's played, you can watch it again.